There we go. Man, so just quick check-in. Last week we did our core skills stuff. One of the things that we've been really talking a lot about here is mastery, and that's obviously like the entire game of wrestling, right? Jiu-jitsu obviously has a natural way to have this conversation because of the belting stuff, right? And moving towards black belt, and everybody kind of understands that hierarchy. Gymnastics, everything else. But in wrestling, it's just kind of, wrestling is extremely martial. And usually lacks the art. The art doesn't work or doesn't matter if you don't have the martial part, right? You got to get the martial part right. That black and white, cold-blooded part of wrestling is kind of what we love, right? Like, it's kind of one of the beautiful things of the sport. But we have to help our athletes understand mastery, right? And so we talked a lot about Aaron Judge hitting baseballs off of a tee. The best book that's short, that athletes would understand, and that I think has been kind of widespread is that book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, by, it's probably right here, Joshua Medcalf. I super recommend that book, Chop Wood, Carry Water, and would recommend it to your team. It's a short read, it's great, and it's pretty pervasive through NCAA wrestling. A lot of those guys that you're hearing get interviewed are talking about that in post-match stuff. You know, chop wood, carry water, chop wood, carry water. You just got to do it every day. So the core skills is important because they are the building blocks of everything else. Our fundamentals and core skills are separate things. The core skills are like, what are the tiny things that provide traction in like across positions, right? But we want to make sure that we really understand those little details. It can seem granular, okay, but that's really where if you can develop that acute eye to see the tiny things, then fixing those tiny things will fix the big things, right? Cool. I'm going to jump out here. We're going to get on the mat and ready to rock and roll. Okay, guys? Next, we're talking about outside step, ankle to ankle, okay? And so level one stuff is just understanding the inefficiencies of hitting a knee, okay? So we don't hit a knee in anything else that you do. You know, I like to have the two guys race, okay? Like if we were going to have Will and Cruz, come here. Let's just demo this real quick. Hurry, we're going to do this together. You guys side by side. But here, okay, and we're gonna race to me on your feet. Ready? Like I'm really gonna make you foot race. You ready? Go. Okay. Will won. Somehow. He almost fell down. Okay. But Cruz has a hard enough time on his feet. Much less if he's, like we definitely can't be on a knee. Back up. So same race again. So Will won even in like 10 yards. Okay. But if I go, Will, you're on your knees. Here, okay, now they're gonna race again. Ready, go. And Cruz can jog and like still win, okay? You're just less efficient. Hitting a knee is about getting underneath your opponent and having a post. So if I was doing a clean and I you've got to squat clean, boom, and stand back up here, okay? But if I was doing a clean and I fell and hit a knee and could hit the second knee and then somehow work my way back up and it count as a clean lift, it obviously wouldn't in weightlifting, but your knee is only if you trip and fall as a post so that you can come back up, you don't land on your face, right? We ask all the time when we're talking about positional understanding, at any point if you just pause and said who would win in a foot race, he's on his feet. Okay, I need to get to my feet to wrestle, right? Or I'm in on a leg here and I'm on two knees and he's on one here, he stepped up outside leg. He would win a foot race because he's on one knee, right? He's closer to being on his feet. He's on one knee and I'm on two. So I've got to at least match his position by getting to one here, right? And if I could get to two, there's a good chance that I'm going to start winning the position, okay? You can successfully do your V shuffles completing through level 2. This is a big deal. So we taught V shuffles earlier in. If you haven't seen it, you need to make sure that you're going through and you understand the value of V shuffle, specifically because we're getting to this ankle to ankle position and making sure that everything is correct and connected. Can't be disconnected on the thing, okay? And then we want to understand the angle goals, okay? So the idea of an angle is if we're both facing one another, neither one of us have the angle, okay? If we get to a position where I'm facing him and he's facing space, I'm winning, right? So when I'm on the single leg, I'm facing him, he's facing space. He's I'm winning, okay? When I'm on a great high crotch and turn the corner, I'm facing him and he's facing space. I'm winning, okay? When I'm on a high crotch and I don't have the corner, he's facing me and I'm facing space. he's winning. Now, I may have his leg, I may be holding on tight, but he's winning, right? So that's why we don't love this position. I've got the center of the position is actually starting to happen behind me, and I've got to recapture the center if I want a chance to win here, okay? This old school, well, you just knee slide through and you cut the corner and you win this thing. Like, this is really, man, when you understand what you're asking, this is not a real smart thing. Such a big ask to win here, okay? You might be able to Iranian and get him in the air here, right? And I can cut back through. But as long as his feet are on the ground, unless he makes a mistake or he's not as good as me, right? If I'm way better than him, I shouldn't be able to cut this corner. He's got to either mis-execute or just be outmatched here in the bout, which in Cruz's case is definitely happening right now. You know what I'm saying? Boom. I would never shoot a high crotch on someone as good as me or better. If you're Frank Molinaro and you can just power up through the dude and you're built that way, then maybe you can. But for most athletes, that's not the case. So I'm not a big fan of that whatsoever because it violates our angle rules. Level 2 is that we're going to demonstrate and correctly identify who has the angle, like we're just discussing, when you're in different positions. So you can put an athlete in the position and ask them who's got the angle, why, right? Okay, now next position, single leg, who's got the position, high crotch, double leg, who's got the angle, and that they can answer it correctly, understanding that the person facing the other one has the angle and this one doesn't. Next, we're looking at the same positions. Once the opponent rolls your head to the opposite side, who's winning now, okay? So if I shoot a high crotch, well, let's say single leg here, okay? I shoot my single leg here, okay? When he rolls my head to the outside, now all of a sudden I'm not winning anymore, right? The position has changed. He's completely intercepted the position, which is why head rolling is such a big deal and such a valuable skill. Once he rolls my head, I've got to make a big move to even have a chance. But then when he moves again and cuts the corner at all, I'm losing again. So it's going to be a fleeting position, okay? If I'm in on a high crotch here and I like what I've got, if he rolls my head, boom, and starts to get leg back, he's winning position again. Now for a split second, come back up. Before I offer inside ear position, if I change knees, I might be okay for a second or we're kind of even. But if he continues to wrestle and gets this angle or gets his hips back at all inside ear space, then now all of a sudden I've lost the angle, okay? And so he's winning it again. I get on my double leg here and he rolls my shoulder. Oh man, here, like I'm really quickly losing the angle battle. And so I have to understand that capture, right? But being able to understand that when you're losing, I don't want to be holding on to his leg and continue trying to wrestle, right? It's like 3rd down and 17 and you're trying to, you're trying real hard here. You got to understand down and distance and field position, where you are in this position here, okay, in this match, and understand, does it make sense to be trying so hard, or do we just need to, hey, it's 4th and 15. I don't think we need to be trying for a first down or a touchdown. Let's just punt and reset with better field position, okay? And so if you understand those ideas, then it completely changes the way that you approach your wrestling. Okay, so next is understanding the problems of lead leg, trail leg. So if I'm attacking lead leg to trail leg here, okay, getting to ankle position is really hard to do. It's hard for me to close the distance. It's hard for me to get to this here, okay, because the range is just too far off here, right? If I'm trying to step to this, like that's hard to get to, okay? Versus if our feet are matching, and I'm gonna stay there. If our feet are matching now and I step to the lead leg, I can get to ankle. I always say this is matching here, okay, boom, here, and this is kind of mirrored, is that now I can't, we have the same angle of our feet. It's hard for me to get there unless I use shuffle step or cross step mechanics to close the distance. So we've got to understand that when I step here, I'm not ankle to ankle, I'm gonna have to hit a knee, and now I'm willfully accepting this position. And I'm going to be at a disadvantage when I get there. It's not that you can't do it, it's just not the most efficient or effective way to be attacking. You're going to see this change is already starting to happen. We started really preaching this about 5 years ago, and I was like, dude, no way, never going back. Maybe it's a little longer than that actually, probably a little over 6 years ago. Anyways, I got beat up by everybody for saying that this is kind of the way, but now you guys have seen this, 2024, I'm saying this, the last 6 months, everybody's putting out content, outside step, okay? And so I've been telling y'all this for a while. It just doesn't make logical sense or mechanical sense. So do everything you can to teach them to not be on the knee. Let's just improve our footwork. To get there, shameless plug, the footwork encyclopedia is gonna really have all that stuff there, okay? And then we understand the problems of stepping with my trail leg to the lead leg thing. So if we're mirrored, so that's a problem, okay? But also this is a problem. This is kind of, both of these are kind of like if the pitcher was throwing the ball from second base. It's just too long of a gap to close. It's not that you can't get there. Even here, if I got to this, oh, I've got the ankle to ankle position, but when I do this, he should see it coming, right? Should. Not gonna say he can't, not say he's not gonna mess it up. He can still swing and miss, but he should see this coming versus this, which is shorter and gonna be so much better, okay? Level 3 habits in our ankle to ankle and outside step stuff is gonna be matching our feet before we're stepping. So if I'm gonna match our feet here, okay, he's in a stance, I can start pushing and I can take these tiny steps. Push, 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 push. Here, and now we're matching, and now I can step and get to where I wanna be. Here, okay? The other way is I could shuffle and load him, like we did in our last skill to get there. Boom, here, okay? I can push and load him here to get there, okay? And what happens as you figure this out, you don't have to wait on his foot to land. I already know that when I shuffle and pull, that it's gonna be there. So you can meet the foot there. You don't have to wait on it to land and then you go see it. The next thing here at level 3 is we can load the opponent and change their lead leg with the shuffle right, pivot left. So we shuffle right, pivot left here, okay? Or we can shuffle left, pivot right. If we're wrestling here and I wanna move into left leg lead, I shuffle right, pivot left, pull. There it is. Swap. Yeah, here, I'm gonna shuffle left, pivot, boom, and be there. Level 4 is that we change our lead legs slowly, that we take those 4 choppy steps here, okay, or if I'm pushing, it's the same thing, is that it's instead of trying to do it all in one step, I'm gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I've changed lead legs. I especially like this in a slide by. Here's a gold nugget for you, okay? Is if I'm here and I try to hit my slide by, it's hard to do. Oh man, this is hard, okay? But if I push, 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 now I've got him pushing in and I've changed lead legs and he doesn't even know it. I'm gonna thumb carve, I'm gonna pinky chop, and as I pivot and rip away, this is gonna get nasty. Especially, man, look, I get this guy in the zone. I'm pushing, I'm thumb blocking, I'm controlling, push, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, I'm rocking. Now as I go, I'm gonna thumb carve, pinky chop, rip. Sick. Whether I go around the waist or hamstring, it's really hard for this guy's hands not to fall to the mat because I'm changing lead legs slowly and he doesn't feel it coming with those short, choppy steps. That's a big, big, big time thing. Next, we're discussing, demonstrating the answer correctly on who has the angle on an inside or outside fireman. So we've been really nerding out on our firemen's here, okay? Understanding inside firemen's here, okay, who has the angle, right? Right now, he's winning, okay? So if there's enough momentum in the position, we've been teaching this, if he's pushing in, then I can pull and hit the throw, right? Like a headlock is a pull. So if I get him pushing in, I can throw and it's gonna work. But if he's pulling, I can't hit a pulling mechanic and throw him, right? So if I'm inside and he's pushing, let's say I've got meat hook V post. If he's pushing in, now when I hit inside fireman's, I can dump him still because he was pushing in. But truly, when I get here, I don't have the angle. I need him to be driving in enough that I could dump him and carry him. And so we've been teaching a lot. Now we've got some really, really sick details to teach you guys on this fireman stuff that we've been studying the last week or so. As I take my second step and knee rotate, knee change, boom, and that's what carries him here, right? So here I don't have it, but when I take my second step, all of a sudden as I start to rotate, change knees, boom, now I'm carrying him again and I can dump him. I'm gonna win that battle, right? When I have outside firemen's here, okay, now I do have an angle. The center of the position is actually in front of me. So this is way more favorable. Although wrestlers all love this one, like if you don't have this second step, you're gonna be missing in a major way. If you don't know how to change knees correctly, you're gonna be missing it in a major way. Come back. But when I have outside firemen's and I hit, boom, the center of the position is actually in front of me.
So now it's way easier. There's a better chance of me hitting this and scoring and winning. Guys, I'm telling y'all, the dudes know we've been nerding out on this. This fireman stuff is disgusting. When we get through some of the stuff that we're studying now, that's something I really want to teach and share with y'all because it's going to be gross. We want to discuss on what secondary ingredient is necessary to make the fireman's work when you don't have the angle. That's going to be that second step in that carry, or the knee change and the drive, the toes driving through there, okay? And then we start to talk about our Wayne's roll and our Peterson stuff here, okay? So here's Peterson, okay? I don't really have the angle here, okay? Right, so everybody goes here, wrist, and it's this whole thing. I've got to understand how to get the angle, okay? And there's a lot to this here. The idea is like, I'm not a big fan of having the wrist and the leg together because it's going to be low chance that I get those. I've got to figure out how to get this guy dumped to his hip here, right? So how can I get elbow knee connection and sit this guy back in order to win? Okay, so Peterson's great. And the reason that we really talk about this is because our Peterson Wayne's roll for our knee block, everything in our knee block situation is really, really sick. It's worth 7 points, okay? We had a kid not win a state title and he won nationals. He won USA Wrestling Nationals after not winning an Alabama high school state title by understanding this. So if I've got a Wayne's roll grip or a Peterson grip here, okay, or a far knee block grip, I've got to understand who's winning the angle battle. Like I'm way behind in the position because I don't have the angle. And so I'm looking in all of those at how can I recapture and have the angle, and I have to use my knee to recollect him. So I can dump and wind up where we want to, here in either direction. Come back, come up here, okay, and now I have a chance to dump, boom, and wrestle, right? If he makes the mistake to reach around my waist, then I'm in the game. If not, then I'm thinking about figure 4 finishes on near leg or far leg as the position develops. So that's our level 4 stuff. It's all getting the ankle to ankle. You're really seeing that truly the Wayne's roll stuff kind of turns into, it is ankle to ankle, but it can also be rock step and find the knee skills, right? It's a combination of some of those things, which is why you gotta work through the progression and understand each one, because it's gonna unlock those different skills, right? No different than learning to go from a deadlift to a hang clean, to a full clean, to a squat clean, and then eventually a snatch and a full squat. Like there's a power snatch, and then there's a full squat snatch. If you're a weightlifting guy, you understand what I'm saying, but that's a progression, and you have to unlock a new tiny skill. There's a different skill in each one of them. It's not just about strength, it's about the skill of that thing, okay? And the skill, like everybody's strong, it's about the skill that allows you to do those things, okay? And so wrestling is just like your Olympic lifting. There should be progressions. There are micro skills. There is strength, there is speed, but mostly it's about the technique. That's where all the power comes from, okay? Technique beats power, timing beats speed, all right? I'm hoping that you really pick up the value of mastering these tiny little mechanics that build up to make a technique. And then when we start, we can take that technique and begin to understand it as a position or as a skill, and we can multiply it across lots of other areas. It really changes the way that we wrestle. It's a complete game changer, which is why I think really understanding the landscape of this is so important. So no matter where somebody is in their journey, you can understand it, right? Just like a doctor, you can identify the problem, you take in a bunch of data, assess them, evaluate them, take in a bunch of data, and then you prescribe the answer that they need to help get them from where they are now to where they want to be, right? Or we can identify what's the one constraint, like, hey, maybe there's 10 things you need to work on, but if you fix this one thing, it's going to have the most critical effect on everything else. It's part of the 20% that's going to change the other 80%, have 80% of the results. Okay. If you see this and it helps you, let us know, drop us some love, some comments, maybe go pick up a course, a subscription. We make that stuff so cheap, so affordable, cheaper than any clinic or camp you're going to go to, with thousands and thousands of answers. And then find somebody else that you think could benefit from this too, and help them understand where you found bread, right? Come get some food, man, come eat, because we're trying to help everybody we can. All right, big thanks to you guys, coaches, everybody today. We'll see you on the next one.